this is a product that focuses on the symptoms of menopause and perimenopause, a bit on PMS as well, but really menopause and perimenopause, that's where the product is at its best, and that's where the reviews are most remarkable. But when I first introduced this product, and again, I talk about things that probably dates me or ages me, and because I started my company 38 years ago, when I first introduced this product well over 20 years ago, I could not speak about, even though I knew the incredible benefits it had for the symptoms, hot flashes, night sweats, interruptions of sleep, I couldn't speak to those things because whether I like the law or not, I respect the law. And at that time, the law was, going back over 20 years ago, that if something is a symptom of a disease, you can't offer a supplement to mitigate or to treat that symptom of a disease. And the reason I'm saying that is because at that time, menopause and perimenopause, of all things, was considered a disease. I think the drug companies are always out looking for a new disease, but it's amazing that at that time, I think what's wonderful that's changed is now so many more women are involved in the medical profession, the medical field, our physicians themselves, in the regulatory fields as well, that the outrageousness of that position, that menopause and perimenopause were a disease and you couldn't offer product to help with that because that would be treating a disease, that's changed. So now, fortunately, but it doesn't change the way things are with other dietary supplements. It just means that this bit of unreasonableness is gone. So, but as I said, it's for me, I mean, fortunately, I'm not like the big pharma companies. I don't aspire to be a big company. I just aspire to be the size that we comfortably can be, and that's it. And when it comes to Ultimate Women's Wellness, it's a product that if you read the reviews, you will see that whether it's hot flashes, night sweats, interruptions of sleep, the mood disruptions, and every woman experiences menopause and perimenopause differently. I remember when I talked about this 25 years ago, I used to almost apologize for the medical industry because it almost made women, and it might seem weird to think about this today, seem weak because they had symptoms of menopause or perimenopause, right. That it almost seemed as though it was their fault. But we now know today that hormones exert perhaps the most powerful influence on how we feel. And so it's no wonder that these disruptive changes in hormones that occur in the 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever age might be, will cause, it would be unreasonable to think that it wouldn't be highly disruptive. And of course, as I said, every woman experiences this differently. The letter, this is before the age of emails, the letter I remember receiving was from someone who said before they were using our Women's Wellness at the time, before their experience, the way they described perimenopause was not being on a roller coaster, as many would describe it, but being on a roller coaster blindfolded, which is a whole nother thing. Because if you're on a roller coaster, at least you see where you're going. As crazy it might be, you might see where you're going. But if you're blindfolded, you have no clue. And it was a really insightful, and so many of the letters and emails that we received, it's something that I think the medical profession, with men at the helm, there wasn't a lot of empathy or compassion. Now there is. And Ultimate Women's Wellness is a great natural tool. If you're going to use hormones, do it with a reputable, responsible, knowledgeable physician who makes sure you're using bioidentical hormones, because I was someone also 25 years ago railing against the synthetic hormones that have since been proven to have caused countless cancers in women. So make sure you do it with bioidentical hormones and with a responsible physician or endocrinologist who knows what they're doing.
Folks, this is where I started with Andrew, way back when, with Andrew's Essential One, and I greatly enjoyed the last time Andrew was in St. Petersburg. Andrew, you had a real comparison chart showcasing, because there's a lot of us out there that take a multivitamin, and if I ever see anybody out there taking one, I always ask them, well, what are you taking? Have you thought about Andrew Lessman's Essential One? For somebody that wants a multivitamin, when we say the words, the best in the world, we mean it on every level.
Yes, and what's so great about Essential One is how easy it is to show how objective, meaning that no matter what whether you're prejudiced, whether you're biased, just objectively, we're going to talk about facts. We don't need any alternate facts or alternative facts, whatever they call them. So if you just look at the facts here, it's a small, easy to swallow capsule versus these enormous horse pills that are difficult to swallow.
What they are.
the ultrafine powder that dissolves instantly, making it available for absorption and helping you, versus a large tablet that might not disintegrate, might not be beneficial, and will most certainly upset your stomach. So just objectively, just even without even trying the product, just looking at one versus the other, that capsule is preferential. In fact, there's a lot of medications on the market now that even though they're still in tablets, what they do is they coat them with gelatin,
right,
and they call them like a tabsule or whatever it is, a caplet. They make them look like capsules because they know that consumers, like us, we prefer capsules. I'm someone who, I don't make any products in tablets because I can't tolerate swallowing tablets. If I had a handful of capsules and one tablet in with them and I took it,
right,
the one tablet, whatever, 10 seconds later will still be in my mouth. The capsules will go away. They'll just slide right down. So tablets are just, I bet I know your next question, they're cheaper to make.
Okay.
They're cheaper to make, they're easier to make. You throw in a bunch of additives, you mix it up, you put it in the tablet, you die. Plus, you take materials, in many cases, that are living materials like friendly fluoro or things like that, and you compress them under tens of thousands of pounds per square inch of pressure with these additives to make them stick together, because you have to add glue to the tablet because it's not sticking together on its own. Then you typically coat it. Then you sometimes coat it with sugar, which most of the leading multivitamins, if you read their label,
right,
they have sweeteners and sugars in them. Why? Because they want you to like the taste of that tablet in your mouth. They have artificial colors in it. Why? Because they think you won't like the vitamin as much as if it isn't a pretty yellow or orange or pink or green. They think you want it to be, I mean, mine are pretty boring. You know,
boring is good in tablets. I like it.
Theirs are, you know, have pretty colors. You know, mine does not. And I'll open this capsule, which is it's a soft capsule, easy to swallow, and it's just an ultrafine powder. It contains a lot of material. And the other thing is, with My Essential One, and again, it's the idea of being additive free of additives, that even though that capsule isn't a big capsule, because we don't have a lot of other stuff in there, you get more of what you want. You look at all the key nutrients, whether it's the B complex or B12 or biotin, you look at my product and you're getting multiples more. Most of the leading brands don't have lutein, zeaxanthin, or lycopene. None of them have zeaxanthin. Most of them have either none or trace amounts of lutein or lycopene. We give you real levels of all these ingredients. So it's one of those products that if you want to see the difference between how I go about making a product and how the other guys do, yeah, it's the best exercise in the world. And maybe what I should do almost, we might be going to shoot some videos that we'll leave on the website. Maybe I'll take a bottle of one of those leading brands and just discuss the difference between My Essential One and theirs. And I would say I almost feel guilty comparing our product to theirs because my product has nothing to do with what theirs is.
Right.
We might both contain some vitamins and minerals, but our B12 is in a form, B12 is typically not absorbable when you introduce it through your mouth. We created a new form of B12 to make it absorbable. First of all, ours is the natural coenzyme form that your body uses, theirs is not. And ours is protected from stomach acids, so it bypasses your stomach, so it can be absorbed in the small intestine and benefit you. And almost every ingredient in my multivitamin has that kind of a differentiating story because we want the product to work for you at the right level, in the right form, and of course, in a dosage form that's going to work.
So if I can be so bold to really ask anybody out there that's maybe just channel surfing, just finding us for the first time, maybe you've never seen Andrew Lessman before, if you are currently taking a multivitamin, I would ask you to just stop for a second. Maybe it's Centrum, maybe you've taken it for years, and consider taking Andrew's multivitamin. When you do a side-by-side comparison, there is no comparison. Even if out of this entire 2-hour show, the only thing you do is say, all right, I'm going to do the multivitamin. I know it's good for me. I know it's a good decision to make. You will not be disappointed. For anyone out there that's ever said, I can't possibly take a supplement because it's heavy on my stomach, Andrew's explained that. The rock hard tablets versus these ones.
Plus, what we do is, I look at the most common question I have to answer in my reviews. I should probably put a disclaimer on the website. We don't pull out the bad reviews. This is a product that, a multivitamin of all things, is 95% positive reviews, almost 85% 5-star reviews. For a super, high potency multivitamin in a single capsule, that's remarkable, and I think most people find it a little bit incredible or not believable, but it is. It's just, as I said before, I don't do it the way everybody else has been doing it. If you look at 99% of the multivitamins purchased and consumed in America, they're tablets.
Yep.
They come with artificial colors and all sorts of other binders and fillers. They have relatively low levels of key nutrients, and they all contain the same forms of those nutrients. Everybody basically does kind of a carbon copy of everybody else. Maybe it's a little bit different color tablet, maybe it's a different shape tablet, but they're all basically the same. And then even more, if you don't buy Centrum or One A Day, whether you go to Walmart or Costco or wherever it might be, they have their version of those multivitamins made by a contract manufacturer who has the exact same formula using different colors, whatever it might be.
Right.
That's the exact same formula where they'll even tell you to compare it to One A Day Women or compare it to Centrum for men over 50. That they're basically all doing the same thing, which is just, and they're just happy to capture some sales because they're on 100,000 store shelves in America. And I'm just a little tiny brand that's on a shopping channel on a website here. So again, as I said, I don't have a small advertising budget. I have no advertising budget, so it's sort of funny. But
Well, you are the walking advertisement. Every single person that's a part of Andrew's family, as it were.
Our product is our advertising budget, and that's what's stood us well over 38 years.
Gosh.
Long before I was ever on a TV shopping channel, whatever that was, 26, 27 years ago. We were growing, and again, simply growing by word of mouth.
Right.
And I guess because I didn't have shareholders and a board of directors that wanted profits and this and that,